welcome to Out of the Box Radio with me, your host, Christine Blasdale. Out of the Box Radio is a weekly podcast of audible ear candy dedicated to bringing a fresh perspective on this thing that we call life. And each and every week, we're going to be diving into the topics that matter most with lively conversations on issues such as health, wellness, and transformational healing, all with the goal of creating a better world and becoming a happier human being. I will be your tour guide for this epic adventure, and each and every week we're going to be embarking on a journey with the ultimate goal being transformation to our highest potential. And now, let's get out of the box. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Out of the Box Radio. I am your host, Christine Blasdale, and I'm very, very happy that you joined us today because we're going to be checking in with one of our favorite guests, our favorite recurring visitors to Out of the Box Radio, the wonderful Ms. Abigail Noel, masterful intuitive, medical intuitive, downright cool soul sister, spiritual gangster herself.
Hey, Christine. How are you? Thanks for having me on the show again.
Well, I'm really, really happy because I wanted to check in with you. So much has happened the last couple weeks. We've had the solar eclipse. We've had Hurricane Harvey pummel Texas, in particular Houston, and then now what we have coming on, approaching and making landfall is the Hurricane Irma, which is interesting because this is supposed to be the most powerful, devastating hurricane, and they named it's Irma. Of course, it's a woman, right?
Right, of course.
That's, Harvey was a badass, but but Irma's a bitch.
She's a real bitch.
So we have that. We have Texas. We have Florida. We have the eclipse. And so much stuff is happening. Of course, there's stuff happening politically, but you also have an update to let our listeners know what's happening a little bit later this month, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The event at Warner Brothers.
Yes.
Justice for Prince Rogers Nelson. So we're going to be meeting September 21st and 22nd. We've got people, supporters, believers, people who know that Prince Rogers Nelson was murdered, that Warner Brother executives and AKA members of the Illuminati, as they like to call themselves, are responsible for this. And so we're going to be at Warner Brothers on the 21st from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and on the 22nd from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
And that would be Warner Brothers, the studio, which is located in Burbank, right?
Absolutely. We'll be at 11, I think it's 111 Hollywood Way and Olive, and that's right at gate number 4.
And if people wanted to, and we'll talk a little bit more about Prince and his murder, but if people wanted to join, how do they find out you're on Facebook? Could that be the easiest way, or through your website?
Yeah, Facebook would be a great way. You can find me there, or you can go to my website, which is www.abigail, ABIGAIL, Noel, NOEL.com.
Okay, so and since we're bringing this up, and some people who are new to Out of the Box Radio or new to you might be scratching their heads. They're going, wait, why is she going to Warner Brothers to protest? And she's bringing a lot of folks with her too. Mm-hmm. Let's go back. Let's take a step back. Warner Brothers and Prince had an interesting relationship, correct?
A very interesting relationship, a long time, about a 40-year fight, really, public fight over music rights. And it's not the first time that Warner Brothers has strong-armed an entertainer for music rights. Let's not forget Sony and Michael Jackson. And we could talk about that for another show. But
right.
We could go on and on and on. There's so much there.
The untimely death of Michael Jackson shortly after did he not acquire the Beatles album?
He did.
The Beatles rights?
He did.
Yeah.
He did.
Interesting.
Very
okay.
interesting.
Coincidental.
Yeah. They liked it. Yeah.
That's Sony.
That was Sony.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Sony and Warner Brothers are
in bed together.
And they're two of the largest record labels,
absolutely.
Obviously. Okay. So there was this whole back and forth with Prince, and is that why he became the artist formerly known as Prince? Was that to regain ownership of his own damn songs?
Of his own name. They literally told him that he owned his name. It was part of his image. That's his birth name. That's the name his mother gave him. But,
Prince Rogers Nelson. And they said, no, we own your name.
And yes.
Wow.
and his music and everything else by the contract that he signed. So that is why he was doing his best to make statements. At the same time, I think that a lot of these stars, they live in fear. This is a gang. This is literally a gang, and they feel that they own the stars, that they own the music, that they have created the playground that these stars live in, and they look at these people as investments.
Right. So they create the machinery too. They create the publicity. They create the
image.
They have deals with the radio stations. You know, you got to play this in order to do this. It's not pay for play, but it's the idea.
Oh,
is
100%.
Yeah. So and then you lure the artist in with, my God, gobs and gobs and gobs of money, ridiculous amounts of money that no one on this planet
Fame.
should be able to have.
Right.
Fame,
Adoration.
popularity. Women, if you're into women, men,
if you're into men,
right, whatever.
Anything you want.
Goats, right?
Goats.
I mean, whatever.
Anything you want. Well, actually, they do. They have what used to be called pamper parties. Now I think they're calling them opulent parties. And anything goes. Absolutely anything that you want. If it's not there, they go and get it. But at the same time, stars are also. It's also how they keep that little black book. So they've got dirt against the stars, so they lure them into the devil's playground.
Wow.
And then they get incriminating evidence on these stars to be in what's called the club, the Illuminati Club, and those are the people who get the big deals, the Super Bowl gigs and the movies and all that thing and all that stuff. When you're in the club, because you either pay, play, or go away, you literally agree to hold incriminating evidence on other people, and you know that people hold it on you. That's what keeps everybody safe. And you can't speak.
Oh, right. So it's a check and a check. You're checking each other. I've got something on you. You've got something on me. So I'm not going to rat on you. You don't rat on me.
The entertainment industry is actually way more ruthless than the mob, and it runs the same way. They're always listening to the stars. In fact, I've been finding out lately, and again, this is psychic. It's presented to me in channeled information that they get bugs. Little, listening devices, and the stars are bugged. Their purses, if they have their clothes specially made, they might be something that's given to them. It looks like a gift. But you got to be very careful of that because they've got bugs that you won't even find or see these days, and they're able to listen. They're watching these guys all the time. They're watching to see who's talking to who. Who's got what secrets, and a lot of these stars are dying because of it. They're being murdered. Chester Bennington and Chris Cornell.
Now you talked about let's go back to the abilities that you have and what I know that we know that you're a medical intuitive, and you use your intuitive skills almost like
as a therapist.
You do it as a therapist, but I almost want to say that it's like a psychic detective.
Yes.
I call you the psychic detective in my
do.
head.
Oh, I love it.
And I want to get you a hat. I don't know why.
Okay, let's get one.
Like a Sherlock Holmesy kind of hat. The psychic detective, because that's what you remind me of.
Yeah.
So with Prince, now let's go back again on Out of the Box Radio, and folks can actually listen to the show. If you go on YouTube, you can find the very first show that we did on Prince. This was, a day or two after his passing?
Yeah, I think it came out because Out of the Box is on Fridays, but we actually recorded it, I believe, 3 or 4 days after his passing.
Yes.
You were with me as witness on the first channeled conversation that I had with him on April 23rd, 2016, when I realized that the soul essence of Prince Rogers Nelson was with me.
And was communicating with you
about his murder.
About his murder. And, okay, so now what happened, I want to tell the listeners because they don't know, this is a scoop, folks, if you listen to Out of the Box Radio. And in particular, if you've heard that show, or if when you go back and you hear that show on YouTube, you can check it out. Just go back to April.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Go back to April, so it would have been about the 25th or 26th?
Yeah, go back
the
to
Friday
April.
after Prince crossed.
So when you listen to that, what we did, remember, you were like, I need to talk. We need to get this out of the box. This needs to go, public. That's what the urging was. Mm-hmm. And we recorded. We did a full hour. Remember?
Mm-hmm. We did.
And wow, and it was powerful, right? And so we
Mm-hmm.
get done, and I save my audio file, as I have done many times. I've been doing this for many years. I've been recording and doing interviews for forever. And I go to save it. I watched it saved. I said, cool. And then shortly after, I went to look at it, to hear it because I clean them up. You know, I go and I clean up, I edit, and the file had shrunk down to a minute.
It's just gone.
And the whole hour had been, a lot of it was gone. All of it was gone except for a little tiny portion, and it was sped up so fast it didn't make any sense. It was just like, I go, oh my God. And I had to call Abigail back. And I called her back, and I go, Abby. I mean, here was something that had been completely channeled through her. Prince was talking through just amazing revelations of what happened to him, how he was murdered, these little bits and pieces, and we had to do it all over again. And then I realized, now I don't know how much power my man Prince has, except for the fact that
He's got lots of power.
He's got lots of
They call
power.
him Magic Man in heaven.
And when it comes to electricity and recording,
oh, he messes with it all the time.
okay. So what happened was we had to do it again, and my intuition, my little psychic intuition, was we needed to do it again because we laid down the foundation. And in that second interview, which is the one that aired,
Right.
in that second interview, even more stuff came out.
Right. Right.
More solid.
Yeah, which is something to say about that. What a lot of people don't realize is, first of all, everyone has the ability to be psychic. We're all psychic in our nature. Whether we wake up to that is like, you know, whether you play guitar or not. It's whether you pick up the guitar or not. And it has to do with our beliefs. Many people have been taught to believe that they're simply not psychic. Some people are and some people aren't. That is simply not true. But oftentimes, and what people also think is that it's easy. It's not. It requires a lot of faith and trust. You've got to get out of the way of what you think you know, or you will trip all over all day long.
Get out of the way.
Get out of the way. Because the answer is almost, people say, how do you know it was God? Because it's shocking. It's something you're like, wow, didn't know that. But it'll make so much sense at the same time. But people think that answers just come like that. Answers don't just come like that. It's not about just hearing God. It's about understanding God. And I love that you said psychic detective because, yes, investigator. That's how I work. I've got to go back over and back over and back over. And at the same time, just like a detective, I have to be looking for where anywhere my ego or beliefs might be getting in the way of the truth and my fears, because there was so much about what I was shown about what happened to Prince, and I didn't know anything about the man. Seriously, no. I had never even seen Purple Rain. I did not know anything about Prince, and I'm not a fan really of anybody. I like to just kind of take life as it comes, and I don't get fanatical. With that said, there were so many things that were shown to me about how he was murdered that I could have never made up, and they seemed so kind of odd. I mean, you were there when I was like, they what? They put the drugs in some juice? You know, I mean, pineapple juice?
Pineapple juice?
Lemonade sweetened with pineapple juice? And we're going to find out that's true, because I'm here to tell you, we're going to find out.
Very specific. That was very, very specific.
Yes,
and
they showed me that right then, I mean, very clearly that there would be 3 drugs found in his system, 2 that would be opiate-based, and the other one I thought was cocaine, but it was lidocaine. Doesn't matter. Liquid cocaine or lidocaine, for the intents and purposes here, and we've had a doctor with 26 years experience validate this, they would work the same. That was to numb out the heart and make the effects of the medication more intense. That's the same thing that they used on Marilyn Monroe, opiates and cocaine. That's what was found, chills, in her system.
Chills.
They've been using the combination of opiates and cocaine since the 1940s. That's why we have scientists, most of them German scientists, that the U.S. government has been paying. By the way, we paid Hitler. That was a false flag operation, guys.
And all you got to do is look up Operation Paperclip.
Is that what it is?
Operation Paperclip. After that whole horrific ordeal, when we went in, we actually got some of the most evilest, darkest doctors and experimenter, torturers, scientists, and we brought them to the United States
Lincoln
to work
Park
for us.
Experiments.
We got to, you know what? What you guys do is pretty good. Wow, how do you do that? Let's learn more. And they were in the employ of the intelligence agencies. So Operation Paperclip, look it up, Google it.
This is Stephen Marley. I'm hearing that song "Mind Control" in my head. So they've been studying the psychic phenomena. For years, since before World War I, and I mean, we could
Oh, we could go. Yeah,
We
no,
could
we
go
could
into
go
that
on
for days, but
So, but with regards to Prince, with that show, once that show aired, and it's date stamped, folks. That you know, when you go and you listen to it, or you on YouTube, it's date stamped. Then a couple days after that, there was an interview. Was it not with Ray
Roberts, his personal chef, did an
Now the
interview.
chef. Now, okay, I don't know about you folks. I don't know if you ever played this game when you were a kid called Clue. When I was a kid, we played this board game called Clue. I loved it. You know why? Because I'm also a little psychic detective. I loved it because I love figuring out who murdered so and so in the, in the den or whatever.
Mrs. Plum in the library.
Mrs. Plum with a candlestick, right?
With a candlestick, right?
And you get clues along the way.
Right.
So, I am not Inspector Clouseau, but if I was investigating the murder of one of the most well-known, highest profiled artists of our time,
master,
a few of the people that I might want to interview and ask would be especially the people that are responsible for the food and drink.
Right.
That I mean, what was it? Even Caesar? There's been so many poisoning of people.
Yes, throughout history.
Right?
Yes.
I mean,
this is just old school poisoning, man.
And he was extremely healthy. This guy, I mean, this cat, he was extremely, extremely healthy. A vegetarian, right?
Healthy lifestyle. He hadn't been feeling well in about the last 18 months. That is because they were giving him small amounts of arsenic poisoning in his food. And that was validated because, and you were witness to this information, Prince Rogers Nelson explained to me that he had gone out that day to a doctor's appointment at 3 p.m. That is how specific the information was that I was given, Dr. Schulenberg, and that has all been validated by the press. There is no question. He was at that doctor's appointment at 3 p.m. Now, what he was told during that doctor's appointment or what transpired has not been made public in the press. However, what I was shown is that Prince Rogers Nelson was told that the heavy metal toxicity in his blood made it look like somebody had been poisoning him. He had been so sick lately that he had gone to be tested for, what's that called that you get from ticks? Lyme's disease.
Oh, Lyme disease.
Lyme's disease. He was having trouble with his digestion, which Ray Roberts himself, which came through. You'll remember on that call, I said, he made him the juice with the pineapple and the lemon to aid in his digestion. Well, Ray Roberts, 5 days after I made that public, and just for everyone to know, I put the link to that Facebook video directly on Joelle Roberts' page. God told me if I was going to call somebody out as a murderer, I needed to do it to their face, so I did. And Joelle and Ray have conversed through Facebook Messenger, and they're ridiculous.
So Joelle and Ray Roberts were the
personal chefs.
The personal chefs to Prince.
Yes.
And they and basically everything that he ate and drank was made by them. Was
and
created
interesting
by them.
enough, they used to work for the Queen of England.
Get the
That's a true story.
Are you serious?
Yes, it's a true story. Yes, I don't know how, and there's no such thing as coincidence.
Oh my!
And let's not forget that the Queen was wearing purple, and so was Hillary Clinton.
Oh.
Right after his death, Prince was murdered on the Queen's birthday. Now, there is no such thing as synchronicity. There is only, no such thing as coincidence. There is only synchronicity. And the reason that that story came out, he had been at the Fox, Theater in Atlanta doing a show. On the way back in the plane, they said that he overdosed and had to be given Narcan. That's not true. They dosed his soup. They put the drugs in his soup, but they didn't want to kill him that time. It was a setup so that the world would believe that he died. But they specifically wanted Prince to die on the Queen's birthday. She is the head of the Illuminati right now. She's still the head of the dragon. Below her is Soros and Hillary. They're called the two henchmen. They're the ones who watch all these stars because they cannot let an entertainer, especially one that's liked and loved, get too much power. If they were to step out and start speaking, and what happened was these stars were starting to find out things about the politicians in particular, and especially Hillary Clinton. And guys, I didn't watch the news. I still don't watch it. I haven't watched in almost 15 years. I don't care. I don't vote. I do not vote. I am not registered. I will not vote. This two-party system is a broken sham. Anyone that votes, I mean, you're wasting your time. It's rigged. Come on, guys. It would be better for everyone to come together instead of spending your time voting. We all need to go to Washington and say enough is enough for the people, by the people. It doesn't matter who the president is. It's not. Let's show them that the people can rise above the politicians in this country, and then we can rise above these world leaders that are absolutely corrupt and evil. We've got to do this.
And it's almost, well, yeah. Oh, I was going to say the going back to in particular with Prince, the question always is why kill him? Why murder Prince Rogers Nelson? Now we tied into the question is usually chi bono, who benefits, right? Who benefits?
Money, number one.
It's money, but in that channeled session that we had, and that is in that YouTube video, which from April, there was talk about, you got something from him about a manuscript.
Yes, I was just going to bring that up. Perfect.
Okay.
We are, bing, ding, ding. What was wild to me, but here's the gig, 'cause then people would say, well, Prince wasn't political. He didn't vote. No, he didn't vote either. And I don't vote either. It's not about voting, and it's not about politics. It's about basic right and wrong. This is about our freedoms. Prince told me during this time that he was going to expose secrets about the government, about the Illuminati, about the record industry, and about Hillary Clinton. Since then, I have been told that Chester Bennington and Chris Cornell were also going to expose Hillary Clinton, and that's why they're dead. That is why they're dead. And so Prince told me that he was writing a book. He showed me the book that was going to point fingers. It was going to be the opening for him. Then he was going to go on a tour and a book signing, and he was going to speak to small, intimate groups about what's really going on and how our political system is their tendrils all over the entertainment industry, and how evil it is, how they try and control these stars, and they do it in a gang fashion. With that said, and our political leaders that are part of what is called and known as the Illuminati. So with that said, he told me about this book. We made that public, and that book's now been found. So that has been absolutely.
Who has that book?
ICM Partners.
Oh no.
Esther Newberg. Give her a call, guys. She had 50 pages of his book, and they have kept quiet. In fact, the last time they were asked about it, they didn't comment. So 50 pages, and he was writing a book. Do you think there's more? Are you getting right now that there was more than that 50 pages? That there's
I
believe there was, and I just got chills on that before you even finished asking the question. But I believe, and God just said, yes, there is more to that book. They said 50 pages, just because so they could suppress whatever's. They're probably picking through it, editing it down, kind of like they did with the great book, the Bible.
The Bible.
Yeah.
That chapter about Mary.
Yeah. We don't need that one.
Let's just call her a whore.
Yeah,
they'll buy it.
That'll work.
Okay.
Good one, see.
So, okay.
And I do want to bring this up. It was also, Prince revealed to me, he was very adamant, came through powerfully, that he did not eat his dinner that night, that he had not eaten for hours since he left the house, and that was validated by the autopsy report. In fact, the autopsy report does not support overdose nor suicide, because the level of drugs found in his system could have killed like 8 people. It was so huge. There was no need. He wouldn't.
Why? Yeah, that's
Yes, yeah. And the reason they did that is because they didn't know how much of the juice they would drink, and he would drink. They were desperate because they knew he was on to them. He's even told witnesses. So I know 2 people for sure that both had Prince tell them directly that he was starting to suspect his chefs of poisoning him, that he didn't trust the food.
Wow.
And it wasn't tasting right. And Ray Roberts even stated in the Associated Press interview that he did, which occurred like 4 days after he got my video. And we also gave that video to the Associated Press. They had my video as well and the Out of the Box interview. And so Associated Press and another one called City Line or something like that, both of them interviewed Ray Roberts. And he made a statement that to me was like the most damning. And that's because if you'll remember, Prince told me that he came home very agitated and that he didn't want anybody in his house. He told everyone to leave. That has also been validated. Ray Roberts says it with his own mouth in that interview that he rarely saw Prince in a bad mood, and that he had come home that night incredibly agitated, very short-tempered, and that he asked everyone, including Ray, to please leave his house. So that was validated, and it's evidenced in that article.
So we have the manuscript and the exposing of a lot of very powerful people. Can't have that happen. No. Okay, but then we also on top of it, we have the Warner Brothers connection with the mute because it's money. Right?
All about money.
So
all about his music vault.
One of it is to shut him up because he's going to talk. He's going to
Yes.
say something that he shouldn't. And I think one thing that also got him in trouble, he started talking about chemtrails. He started talking about chemtrails,
Yep.
and everybody was like, "Oh, baby, be careful. Be careful."
What happens?
Even Dick Gregory,
100.
knew that was like, that's something that you don't do as somebody that's that famous.
What happens if you start speaking about any of these issues, chemtrails, Monsanto, Big Pharma, the Clintons, Haiti, if you do not support Hillary Clinton and you are part of Hollywood entertainment, you do then, or if you speak out, one or the other, you are then put on what's called the marked list. And you're marked for death. And they literally will draw names. It's a game for them. They will draw names. And then what happens, though, is Hillary, who's called the henchman along with George Soros, they're the ones who are keeping tabs on these stars. And if they find out that anybody is being a rebel and speaking or starting to try and start a coup, then they make sure they take off the head of the snake. So whatever information they get, if they find out someone is, starting trouble, that person goes.
So then let's tie in with the protest on the September 21st and 22nd.
Yes.
In Burbank.
Yes.
At the Warner Brothers Studios.
Yes. Headquarters.
So with that's just addressing the angle about the looting of Prince's of his catalog of all of that, of the money angle.
We're actually going to be addressing by name the Warner Brothers execs that are responsible, the highest up, that are part of this one world order that calls themselves the Illuminati. So we're going to be calling out names downstairs. We're also buying these jokers lunch. We got 50. We'll have 100 total. We're going to buy them 150 hot dogs for lunch over a 2-day period from Taste Chicago. And if they don't want to come down for lunch, we'll just give them away with lots of information about why we know Prince was murdered.
So if you want a free hot dog,
come on down.
in Burbank,
come on down.
Right? September 21st and 22nd. And you can also find out more information by going to abigailnoel.com, ABIGAILNOEL.com. What other updates?
Or find me on Facebook.
Or find, and it's really awesome. You do want to sign up, like her page on Facebook, Abigail Noel, because also Abigail goes on live like all the time. She goes on live when she gets a challenge or a hit. She goes on, and she has other intuitives too, other folks that join in for validation if they're feeling it, what they're getting when she brings up a subject matter or something that she feels and gets a hit. Then she'll ask for chills or recognition, confirmation from other people, which is really a great thing to do, I think.
Yeah, definitely. You want to. There's where more are gathered. I mean, the more people and the more intention, the more powerful the portal becomes, and the clearer and clearer and clearer the information can get. Not to mention, we have each other to validate off of, so that we can get to that place of knowing that we know we are in an accurate place and the information is accurate. And
speaking of accuracy, too, we want to. One thing that you do on your live Facebook events that you have live Facebook appearances, let's say, is that you always say don't take my word for it. check yourself and feel if this feels like the truth. And part of that is what we call getting chills. If we say, chills, or it's the same thing idea about having goosebumps. Some people will get them on their arms. Some people will get them down their neck. When you said the thing about Marilyn, when we were talking about the overdose, or the quote unquote overdose, but it was her being suicided, right? When you were talking about it was the same thing that they gave her, I got a full chill up again. Me too.
Ooh.
Wow.
She's powerful.
For me, it went from my neck and then it goes over my crown onto my forehead.
Yes.
Woo.
You know what they want me to tell you right now?
Huh.
Princess Diana is going to get justice. Did you feel that? Full chills. She's going to get justice.
She is.
And the crown is coming down.
Princess Diana is. When I don't know what it is about her. She truly is the true Queen of Hearts. Because I feel a connection with that beautiful spirit so strongly.
She was brave.
She was extremely brave. She was in the
Unlike
she was
the rest
in the
of
mouth.
The family.
She was in the mouth of the beast.
Belly of the beast.
The belly
for sure.
of the beast. I don't know how she survived as long as she did. To tell you the truth, to be around the Queen and Charles and all of that. And,
Philip. Oof.
Oh God.
Oof. Oof.
So, honey bunny, you're in a much better place than being around those extremely dark entities.
She's with Dodie in the sky.
Yay! Sipping some champagne, I hope, baby.
Oh, you know it.
So
with Elvis and Marilyn.
I love that.
Isn't that fun?
So let's go on to some other things that we talked about in the opening show. A lot of things have happened. We had the eclipse. Let's talk about the eclipse. That was pretty recent. Let's talk about the eclipse. What did you get from that? What was the importance of that, other than a bunch of people around the
world
country
with funny-looking glasses
looking up? It's the first time people looked up. So many people are looking down at their phones.
Down all the time.
Right?
Yeah. Can you imagine? Haven't got to see everyone's face that day.
So what did you get from that experience? What happened with that?
Well, I love the myth and I love the symbols. And so that's the first place. And then I love the science. So first, the myth and the symbol, what it represents is victory for this little ditty called Revelation, which is actually a vibrational raise on this planet Earth, which is really called Gaia. So it's a vibrational elevation for this beautiful planet Gaia that we live on, and what that means is that everyone will become more psychic. The higher and higher it goes, the easier it is to connect. Now, hearing is only half. You've also got to understand. So they work together, hearing and understanding. So the eclipse itself, Abba, Father God, calls total eclipse of the heart, which is the same thing. We're going to bring Gaia. And heaven. Heaven is actually called Navaya. We reverse everything, flip it like a pancake. We do most things backwards, honestly. We'd make things a lot easier. But it's Gaia and Navaya. Makes more sense, right? So when Gaia and Navaya come together and they'll eclipse, that's heaven on earth. Then when the vibration on earth reaches 546 or 510, 546 being the feminine number and 510 being the masculine version of the same. Yes. When we reach that level, that's called heart opening. To validate what I'm saying, please ask for bright, bright green, which is a confident heart, and 44s, which is called the stamp of heaven. This is sacred geometry.
I just got a huge hit. Makes sense now. Oh, we're such good psychic detectives. Okay,
that's how you get to understanding.
You just mentioned the thing about the resonance, right? 546 megahertz. Okay, that's a vibration, right?
Oh, is this go to the?
It's a resonance. That's a vibration.
Right.
What did I say prior to us recording this?
You said we got to talk about the 4G,
5G,
or the 5G, and why they're.
Yeah. Okay. So for folks that don't know, you have your cell phones, right? Most of the country, everything is hooked up on this 4G platform, those are all the cell towers that are all littered all over the place, right? Emitting a radiation, emitting a signal. Our brains are signal receivers. We're electrical. Everything's electrical. Also, your heart. Your heart is done. It's electrical impulses, right? So
what I got when you said when the planet, and as conscious beings who have been reincarnated, and we've gone through the whole, give and take. We've done the thing where we've met our soulmate, we've pushed our soulmate off a boat, we've shot ourselves in the foot, we've had all these great things, we've lost them, we did it over and over again. We are at this point now consciously in evolution, right? So we're all rising up, we're transforming, transcending, ascending, getting that vibration higher. What's the one thing you can do to jack that 540?
Oh yeah, just keep sending in another
you can
frequency.
Jack it by putting in a different
Absolutely,
frequency.
By putting in a different frequency. You can cancel them out.
You
can try.
What folks don't know right now is that there is this massive push right now by the government. Oh my goodness, the federal government. Now, they're not interested in cleaning up the water in Flint, Michigan, which has been poisoning people for fucking ever. They're not interested in stopping feeding the poor and the hungry. They're not interested in perhaps even negotiating, let's get out of war because it's costing trillions of dollars. No. What they're interested in doing now, in addition to deporting kids who've been here and only are Americans really, but they've been here for 20 years, they that whole DACA thing. What is happening now is the government is saying, we want to make sure that everyone has a good, clear signal for their cell phone. Right. Aren't we wonderful? And we're going to do this. We're going to invest a bunch of money to make sure that when grandma calls you on the cell phone,
it doesn't drop.
It doesn't drop because, my goodness. And you know what? First responders are going to love it too because wherever they are, they're going to make sure that they get that phone call. Isn't it important for you to make sure that when the fire department wants to get to your house that they can do it and they don't drop a call,
safe.
Right? What they're doing right now, folks, is they're ramping up. They are pushing full throttle the advancement of going from 4G, which is already messing with a lot of people who are sensitive to electromagnetic fields.
Right.
And Lord knows, maybe the bees, maybe the dolphins are affected by this as well.
They are.
Because it's sonar, right?
Sonars.
But now they're going to go from 4G up to a whopping 5G. Now, for most of us, you go, well, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, how bad can it be? The difference when you check out the radiation level, the power that goes from 4G to 5G, it'll just blow your head off. What I'm worried about and what I got to hit on, and that's why I contacted you about it, I sent you a text. I'm worried about it being used militarily, as military applications, but for control of the human race, in particular Americans. Because, see...
Well, I just got chills on it. Again, they're already studying it with the dolphins and the under the sea. So they've been studying this with the dolphins and the whales, trying to make them crazy with these vibrations, and they do under the ocean. That's the first thing that I get.
So when I say 5G...
Well, and that's the other thing I was going to say is we know this. They can check the vibration now, via brainwaves and all of that. So they know all about emotional vibrations. They can check the vibration, how high somebody vibrates, and the DMT levels in each person's brain. They've been studying the idea of being psychic and psychic phenomenon for so long. And so what they're doing is they know that if people awaken to this divine nature and this intuitive wisdom, that the whole planet will know that Prince Rogers Nelson was murdered.
Then you wouldn't be able to lie to people.
You won't be able to hide. And these people are out then. They are basically extinct. So if the world awakens and they know what's possible because they've watched people foster their psychic abilities. The government's been studying it the same way I've seen in my own practice for 11 years. For 11 years, I have been watching people do this amazing work, which is called emotional alchemy, with me. It has a lot to do with psychological re-imprinting, EMDR. It's amazing stuff. Inner child work, chakra clearing, past life stuff, great stuff. When you go in and you do the work and you get clear, I've been watching people turn psychic. The government and world leaders are afraid that we're going to awaken to this power and we are going to start seeing the truth. And then guess what? They're the dinosaurs. They are extinct because everyone, but if people knew what I know, And the people who do know what I know, that's who's meeting down there at Warner Brothers. WBFU is what the event's called, Justice Rally. And that's 9/21/22. The people who are coming are some of the most psychic, intuitively natured people that know Prince Rogers was murdered, and they know other things about what's going on. And the higher this vibration goes, and that takes us back to the eclipse, is that eclipse represented a huge vibrational elevation here on the planet. And a lot of us felt it. In fact, a lot of people, you feel ill sometimes at first, a little off, maybe dizzy, headaches, a lot of stomach issues or challenges. They clear. You got to breathe and just work with the emotions. Take extra time. Take a nap. If a milkshake sounds good, go get one. Baby yourself a little bit through it, because what happens every time the vibration goes up, and this was a biggie this time, that's why we had the eclipse to give us that symbol and to mark this time, that when it goes up, and the bigger it goes up, just like when you do this emotional work, the more emotion you clear, the more physical symptoms you will have, because your body has got to readjust, because you literally just change the vibration in every cell of your body.
Right. So when you slough off those energies, what I noticed was with the eclipse, was a turning point or a release of a lot of old fears, old dynamics, old thought processes. But here's the thing: whenever you adapt, whenever you're changing and you're going to something new, you're not going to be an expert at it right away. So it's kind of like the idea is like when the eclipse happened, to me, in my mind, it's like taking the training wheels off of your bike. For the first time, you don't have that weird thing where you can feel it, like you can feel the damn training wheels on there, but you're safe. Yeah. What happened is with the eclipse, in my mind, is once that happened, the training wheels were taken off, so you have the freedom actually to go anywhere you want. You can go anywhere you want. But in the beginning, you're a little wobbly. Yeah. And that's where I feel we're at right now.
We're get your sea legs.
I feel like we're a little wobbly.
Right.
And we're still sloughing off those things.
Mm-hmm. And we're still clearing.
And there's wonderful little triggers along the way that kind of check you. Not check you, and they don't test. It's not a test, but they're little triggers, I think, almost like if you're learning a new language but mostly you speak English, and you go somewhere and somebody knows that you're trying to learn French. And you're just talking to them, having dinner or whatever, and then they say a little something to you in French.
See if you get it.
Nothing too hard,
right.
But like, comment allez-vous, or something, whatever. I'm just, but all of a sudden, then they're kind of saying, can you reply back in French? And that's what I see that's happening right now.
People
little tiny things like, okay, you got your training wheels off. Now can you ride that over a little bump,
Yeah. One of the things that I just love to see in a session, it brings me like the most joy, is when somebody remembers. That's exactly what you're saying. Is it's like when you're asking a child something and they're learning something new at school and they have the answer and they're I know that one, and then man, they're off and running at that point. I mean, you can't keep them off the bike,
Well, and it's something that each and every person, I think, is going through in their own way. Be it with relationships, being with career, being with themselves, a relationship with themselves, which I think is huge now.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Relationships.
We're doing that thing,
period.
Right? We're doing that thing where we're seeing if we like ourselves.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
that's what I'm figuring out.
What it is you got to learn to love yourself anyway. Okay, just like because that's what everybody wants. You want to be loved anyway. We all know we're not perfect. We didn't come here to be perfect. The truth is, if you were perfect, no one would like you anyway. And you wouldn't have any empathy for anyone else. So none of us are perfect, and we all just want to be loved anyway. So you got to love yourself anyway first.
And the longest marriage you'll have is being married to yourself.
Yeah,
You're stuck with yourself.
Yep.
From birth to the last moment you're taking your breath, it's you.
Yeah.
And only you. So let's see what else was going on too that I really wanted to cover.
I wanted to say this: the 5G, the signals and stuff they send. The way around that is to get psychic. That's called your rock. It's literally called metamind, and the government knows about this. They know that once you hit a certain vibration and the DMT levels are permanently there, that they cannot reprogram those people. Those are true rebels. Those are the martyrs throughout history that are going to yell to their death. those frequencies will not affect these people. And the more psychic you become, the younger you're going to get. So maybe that'll be some major motivation. You guys can book a session at www.abigailnoel.com.
And so, yeah, because Abigail has a wonderful way of helping you bring out because again, as she said, everyone is intuitive, everyone is psychic, but it's like riding the bike, or it's like learning how to speak French. You need somebody to help you access those tools that you already have, right? And some people too, it comes to them in different ways, right?
Right. Oh yeah, everybody remembers.
Some people learn by auditory. Some people learn by pictures. Some people learn by getting their hands dirty. So there's different things that that people might be picking up.
Yes,
right?
and some people like to use some of their senses better than others. We were literally created to use all of our senses. You can hear, see, feel, smell, taste, touch God. Mama and daddy love. And so people, have different ways that the same way that a parent would have a different relationship with every single child, or you have a different relationship with every single friend or someone that you love. We have a different, every beautiful heart on this planet has a favorite way that they like to communicate with God.
That's deep. Other things that are in the news right now that I wanted to get to. So we talked about a little bit about the eclipse too, but the weather, hurricanes, extraordinary hurricane that hit Texas, Hurricane Harvey, and then now we have Irma, very, very, very powerful storm, hurricane, 185 mile an hour winds.
Jeez, oh my God.
Okay.
Wow.
The islands that it's already passed by are just, the equipment that actually rates these categories. The equipment's all blown up.
Like, geez.
Yeah.
So it's just done.
Right.
Okay. Off the Richter scale.
Very, very high waves, 50 plus foot waves. When I want to know, well, first of all, I'm not going to tell you the hit I got with all of these hurricanes. I want to know what your hit is. What's going on? What's going on? Is it just nature? Just Mother Nature?
No.
Is it just that it's the fall, no, Christine? Quit being a conspiracy theorist.
No, what's wild, and and I'll say it to the audience, to everyone listening right now. Please ask. Take it from your head to your heart. Get out of the way of what you think you know, and ask. Ask God to tell you if this is true or not, and don't let your fears get in the way. But my understanding is it's weather manipulation. They have all kinds of things they use. He says that all kinds of things, but they've got these weather balloons, and they emit, chemicals and gases in the sky. It's a big test because they're staging World War III. Is what they're doing, and this is to push the United States and other countries into the whole world really into into a one world order plan. There's also a depopulation plan. 50 billion people have to go. So 50 million people have to go. It's 50 something folks.
A lot of people.
It's a lot of darn people that they think have to go. And so the weather being manipulated, I was told, is because they want to keep creating fear, and it's a way to get us used to having police and government and the Coast Guard or whatever that is coming in and basically shoving us around and telling us what to do so we can get used to that. It's the same way that you'll see often, and I saw this, so I'm going to go there. So I don't believe Goldie Hawn's going to be with us very long, because about a year and a half ago, there was a false article that came out. I saw it. And it said that Goldie Hawn had died. And I've got other people that saw this too.
Oh, false, yeah.
These false news stories that come out, and they've happened time and time again. They do that because it's a form of programming. Most people are so zombied that it's taken in through their subconscious, but not their conscious brain, because most people are so fractal, and not conscious. They're just not in alignment. And most people live that way on the planet. You can't live that way and be psychic. But what it does do is then the subconscious brain remembers it. And so when the event happens, it softens the blow, and they think they heard it already. Oh, that's right. That was supposed to happen. Oh, that's right. That was supposed to happen. Oh, I knew that was going to happen. So it's all these things that we're taking in all of the time. It's all programming, and they know it. They study this. So the weather, yes, the weather is absolutely being programmed because they want to create panic in the country and have the people at a weak place. Texas was hit intentionally because Texas is known to be a rebel state. Texas has been planning secession for years now. They have weapons stockpiled. They've got a plan. They've got military that will be around those borders so fast you can't jump. If you're a rebel and things start getting real hot, you might want to run for Texas. That's what you might want to do.
So with the and it's true, and folks, and if it sounds like oh my gosh, Christine, Abby, come on now, you're talking about
Crazy
the government
talk,
manipulating the weather. There was a patent. There was a paper that was written by, I believe, it might have been multiple levels of the military, but you can just look it up again. Google it. Weather modification by the military. Yep. Weather modification. It has been something that they have been working on for a very long time. It's been used, or the idea of, which is being God, all right? It's playing God. Mm-hmm. But weather modification has been used to be justified by the fact that, well, we can create a storm and
be prepared
and have the enemy. Remember, the enemy. Gotcha. We can create a massive storm and flood the enemy's military bases, or we can create a superstorm and knock out this or that, and it's done through weather, so nobody will point the finger at the UN and go, or the UN folks won't go, oh, you know what, you really shouldn't have done that because you actually just killed 10 million people with that, whatever. Mm-hmm. It's under the guise of Mother Nature. That's the weather. We don't know how that happened. It just so happened to be in an area that we wanted to take over. I don't know. That's it. And weather modification meaning not only superstorms, hurricanes, but also earthquakes.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
The ability to actually trigger an earthquake.
There's earthquake coming to California soon. Now, when God says soon, yeah, sometimes, and again, that just came down now, but it looks like it's soon, within the next 6 months.
Ew.
So we'll see.
I'm going to be heading out of the country soon. So
you're going, yeah. She's like, I know where you're going.
Don't say anybody. Don't tell anybody where I'm going.
Oh, don't tell anybody.
No, not yet.
All right.
Yeah, but I'm not. Yeah,
it's a secret surprise location.
Yay, secret. So what else? What else we have going on that's hot? You talk about on Facebook. There's a lot of stuff that's been going on. What's on your radar now? Right now, what's hot?
Wow. Well,
5 minutes.
I guess a little more espionage. I get channeled information every day, but there's a missile. It's called and I didn't even know these existed. We were on the portal at the time, so I have witnesses to this. But I said I stumbled with it a little bit, but it's called a cold fusion long-range targeted missile. Mm-hmm. That is almost in the hands, I believe. Chills. Ask. It was traveling through Tripoli, and then they're going to put it on a big boat and take it to North Korea, and they're going to send it to New York. North Korea thinks it'd be funny to hit the Trump Tower. It's a true story. Everyone listening, ask if it's true. So they have a long-range called cold fusion, and they want to strap a small nuke device to it. My understanding is it's gonna dump in the ocean. But again, the wild part is 2 years ago is when. So I've been working on this little ditty, they call it, called Revelation, and what this was going to look like for 8 years with who I call Abba. And I didn't believe in any of this. I wasn't raised in the Book of the Box. My dad was an atheist. I hadn't watched the news in 10 years. I thought I'd lost my mind, quite honestly, for a minute or two. And so I was told 2 years ago that Korea would have a missile that would hit New York. And at that time, I remember I'd shared it with my mom when this vision first came through, this message, and she said, "Oh no, they don't have one that can." And I said, "Well, they're going to get one." And about 3 months ago, it came through. I was on a live. It was channel, I call it Hot Off the Heavenly Press. I said, "Oh wow!" I said, because someone will ask me anything else, and I'll say, "Yeah, Saudi Arabia's got a missile sale going on right now, half off all missiles." And I said, in Korea, Kim Jong Ding Dong is buying them all up. How about that? And so, and then I'll just kind of let it go.
And where did Saudi Arabia get those weapons?
Well, that's Clinton. They got them from us.
Of course they get them from us.
And actually, I love that you said that, because it was also told to me during the same time that Hillary Clinton is the one who told the Saudis to give Kim Jong Ding Dong, or whatever his name is, the missile. To lob over. He's really insane. I mean, absolutely insane. He plays war games with his own people. He likes to blow things up. He's a complete sociopath. But as I said, he's some people listening are going to go, "Yay, Trump Tower."
Well, we seem to like sociopaths in power.
In power.
Yeah. Well, they who would want all that power? Except for a sociopath.
Exactly. And the thing is if you leave people alone, it's a complete ruse. We don't need people to tell people what to do. We don't need sociopaths playing war games.
No, I have my whole suggestion for running any government, any country is there should be like a lottery, and it should be everybody has to their name is in the hat. Okay, and
yes.
And you get picked, and somebody, okay, let's put our hand in the thing, or it's bingo, right? Whatever, you got the ball, and it comes up, and it's like, oh, hey, Susie Smith, she happens to be a florist in New Jersey. Susie, you are going to be the representative. You're going to be actually the head. You're going to be like the president here, Susie Smith, the florist from New Jersey. Congratulations. And then you got a whole mixture of actually everyday normal people, not psychopaths, not people who are invested, who are crooked, who are scheming. Now, within there, you probably get a couple of people that are, a little, but with the majority of the others that can vote them off the island, you go, hey, Susie, what are you sniffing? That's not floral glue. Oh my God! I can't believe we're out of time, and we were just getting started. And it's so fun talking to you. We can just go on and on and on, and we will go on and on after the show. So if folks want to get in touch with, yeah, that's what I want to say, because you can help people. Obviously, tap into some of their intuitive abilities, talents, and help them along that realm. But also, you do have with the Lost Angels Project, you have an incredible way of connecting and getting the truth on a lot of cases and people, cold case files and things like that.
Yeah.
So if you'd like to reach out to Abigail, please do. It's abigailnoel.com, or you can like her page on Facebook, Abigail Noel, and we'll see you there, because I love you're on almost every night.
Almost.
Yeah. So you'll get to actually see Abigail. You won't now on Out of the Box Radio, because we're just podcast audio only. That's how I like it.
Right?
Yes. So thank you again, darling. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on. I love you. Thanks.
And you'll come back again. Yes.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
All
Anytime.
right. I want to thank you, listeners, for tuning in this week. And remember, if you never, ever, ever want to miss an episode of Out of the Box Radio, you can subscribe to this podcast on iTunes or iHeartRadio. And most definitely, please do subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's Out of the Box Radio. When you subscribe to the YouTube channel, you will see all of the past shows with Abigail. We've talked about, my goodness, we've had so many different shows over the last year.
Marianne
but,
Williamson.
But you and I have had so many different shows with Prince, with George
Oh,
Michael,
yeah.
my Uncle George, Princess
Twin
Diana,
Hearts.
Twin Hearts. There's a whole wonderful, a few different shows on the Twin Heart, Twin Flame phenomenon that so many of us are experiencing right now.
Right.
And so please do check out all those shows. It's on YouTube, Out of the Box Radio. So until next week, I want to remind you to always, always, always think outside of the box. Bye for now.